Hi, 1B. So this week for Listen to Reading, we have a very, very special guest, somebody that I love very much. It's my mom. She is also a teacher. She teaches third grade in the United States. She goes by Mrs. D, whereas I go by Miss D. I know we talked about this in class once. I hope you enjoy her story. This is a story that she used to read to me when I was little, and I always thought it was hilarious. And I'm so excited for you to meet my mom. I hope you have fun, and I will talk to you soon.
Hi, Miss D's class. I'm Mrs. DeFrancesco. I'm Miss D's mom, and I live in Ohio in the United States. And I'm so glad I get to share a book with you. I'm going to read a book about gardening since it's getting to be springtime, and hopefully the gardening season will begin soon. Here's our start to our garden. We've got some tomatoes and some zucchini and cucumbers already starting to sprout up here. We have to keep it inside right now because it is still snowy here in Ohio, unfortunately. And it is April 17th today. So you could see the snow hopefully falling outside. I'll close that window shade so we could read the story and not have too much light. But let's see if I get my phone set up. Hopefully you'll be able to see the pictures. This book is called Muncha, 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 and it is by Candace Fleming. And the pictures are by G. Brian Karras. So, Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. For years, Mr. McGreeley dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and of gobbling them all up. But he never once tried. Until... "This spring," said Mr. McGreeley, "this spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden." So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. You could see somebody else is watching his garden grow as well. "Lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, yum, yum, yummy," said Mr. McGreeley. "I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh veggies." But one night when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. Tippy, 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 pat. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, get my book straightened out so you could see the picture better. Okay. The next morning, when Mr. McGreeley saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. So he built a small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. "There," he declared, "no bunny can get into my garden now." If you look, you can see some bunnies are looking. Okay. And the sun went down and the moon came up and tippy, 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 pat. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreeley saw his nibbled leaves and gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence, and all around his vegetable garden. He huffed. "Those flop ears will never get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now." And the sun went down and the moon came up and tippy, 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 pat, dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreeley saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was really, really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. "Ha!" he snorted. "Those puff-tails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now." You can still see them right there. They're keeping an eye on Mr. McGreeley. And the sun went down and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat, dive, paddle, splash, splash, splash. Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring, hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreeley saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious. So he hammered and blocked and sawed and stocked, drilled and filled and trapped and locked, and he built a huge, enormous thing before the deep, wet trench, outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. "I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure," he exclaimed. "They can't get through it, they can't get under it, and they can't get over it. No bunny, no way, no how can get into my vegetable garden now." And the sun went down and the moon came up. Tippy, 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 stop! The 3 hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the huge, enormous thing before them. And tippy, 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 pat, the bunnies hopped away. Now, do you think they're going to get in somehow? The next morning, Mr. McGreeley saw his untouched vegetables. He was happy. "I beat the bunnies," he whooped and did a jiggly-wiggly victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. "Ah," sighed Mr. McGreeley, "at last." Smacking his lips, he picked and pulled up lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. I want to give you a close-up. What do you think's happening? Oh, Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. Those bunnies tricked him. And I guess if you can't beat them, join them. So I've enjoyed reading for you, and hopefully Miss D does a much better job, I'm sure, reading aloud on her computer for you. Hopefully this finds you all well, and I look forward to someday maybe meeting you, friends, if I get to come to Germany on a vacation soon. Take care. Bye.